Get that body, Jess. You get that body, good girl. Tuesday the 7th of April 2020, and I'm going to do some welding on the axle today, get it all finished up. I say finished up, I may truss it yet, I don't know. But basically what I'm going to do today is weld the Gwyn Lewis diff pan on for good, and we'll start off by tacking it and everything. So I'll take you over to the axle, show you what I've done so far, protection and everything. I also want to start with a disclaimer. Doing this, anything you do with grinders, welders, cutters or whatever, it's dangerous. You could burn your garage down, you could burn yourself, you could destroy your axle, you could destroy your equipment, you could cut yourself. There's a million things you could do. If you're not competent, if you're not confident, don't do it. This video is for entertainment only, and it's to show you how I do things. It's by no means me telling you this is the way you should do it. I'm just showing you how I do it, and we'll see how it works, because everything you see me do is my first time as well. So we'll see how it comes out. So let's have a look at the axle and we'll go from there. Okay, so there's the Gwyn Lewis diff guard ready to go on, all lovely and all fitted up and everything nice. Got it all marked up as well, you can see, so I can get it all aligned as good as I can. Looking at the axle here, you can see I've got the old diff cover in here when I cut in half to show you the gearing, if you remember. If you haven't seen that, go back and have a look. It's very interesting for people interested in that sort of thing. Got a bit of tape on it just to hold it together, and this is great because I can put this in now. The diff is actually bolted on, you can see it here, bolted on. And basically what that's doing is any spatter that gets inside, if I blow through or whatever, then basically my diff is covered, it's protected. You know, you're not going to protect it from grinding debris or whatever, you never do that, it gets in everywhere, but this protects it from any spatter. I've also got the filler plug in here because I've welded up these two ends. These Land Rover just stop about here when they weld across, so what I've done is cut the seam open and then weld it over so that we've got a full weld in there now, and they don't need grinding down because the diff sits in the gap in there. So I'm going to replace this plug in here, and the reason you do this is to stop weld spatter getting into the threads, because that'll ruin your day. You can see I've got the plug in there on the outside now, not the inside, because we're welding the outside. So we're going to say goodbye to that for the final time. The axle's also covered, if you can see it's wet, it's covered in anti-spatter spray. So we can put this on. There we go. So that's on now, so we'll get it all aligned, get it tacked up and start doing some welding. Okay, so it's held in place now with those two magnetic blocks. Just want to talk quickly about alignment. If you mark up your centre line on your diff here, and you mark up the centre line on the axle there, and you do the same on the other side, and then mark off the centres here, here and here, you can't go wrong. If you try and do it by eye, you're going to get lost, because if you notice the form here is different than the form here. So, you know, when you look at it like this, you can see the form there is a lot different than there. So basically, if you work to your centres, you can't go wrong, and you know then that you're going to clear everything with your crown wheel and everything, and also it's just going to look right. You don't want it to look off or be twisted or anything. So that's what I've done. So now I'm going to tack it, and I'll see you in a minute. Right, so there we go. We've got the top, the bottom, and the two sides welded now, and they've come out okay. I've Could have been prettier, but we'll see. Now I need to do these bits here, and what I intend to do is stand the axle up on end so I can weld downhill, downhill, downhill. And I stood the axle up on end to do these. I know I said don't take these bars off, but I had to. So I've been checking. I did have, as I said before, the axle was bowed. As you're looking at it now, it was wider in front of you, about 3mm. Now it's about 1.5mm, so it is actually pulling back straight, which is lucky. So by the time I've done these bits around here, it may have pulled back perfectly parallel. We shall see. But if I can get it within 1mm, I'm going to be happy with that. I mean, Jesus, 1mm over a 1.2mm length is, well, I mean 3mm was 0.1 degrees, wasn't it? So 1mm is going to be, yeah, it's just nothing. So I'll get on and get the rest of this welded, and then maybe I'll just film a bit of the welding and I'll come back. I'm happy with that. Here's a little something for you to think about if you're new to welding. Myself, I'm right-handed. I don't like welding left-handed this way. So basically, to weld this down here, I would need to go in this way. This bracket's going to be in the way. I would much rather do it that way. But then going uphill when you're welding is not a good idea if you can avoid it. Which is where, like, we see these people doing these welding tuitions and on a bench, and everything's flat in front of them and everything's spotlessly clean. When you're in this situation, you might be underneath your Land Rover welding this, you know, and you have to go up unless you want to take the axle off. So you know, it's when you can, you get around it by moving things around. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the axle up on end so that I can weld this down. So that will be up and this will be down, so I can weld this down the same as I've just welded that one. Again, I'm happy with that. That looks great under a coat of paint. To a blind man. So you can see here once again I've turned the axle over again, and I've now got myself in a position where I can do this comfortably, and it's always worth turn the welder off, come along and check that you can actually do it comfortably. That, you know, there's nothing worse than getting halfway and finding this is in the way and you end up stopping, and then you have a cold button you weld or whatever. Well, I don't know what it's called, but stopping a weld halfway through is never good. It's better to just try and do one constant run if you can. So there we go, I'm happy with that there. And then when it comes to this one, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'll turn it up on end again. We shall see. Here you can see axle's up on its end again, so I can get a nice comfortable weld. Got some anti-spatter on there. One is all set up. Let's go for it. This is the last one. Put the light on. There we go. Right. A wire brush. It's a shame that's on the bottom because that's probably the nicest weld of all of them. There we go. So that's it, it's all done. Okay then guys, so there it is, all done, all lovely and smooth. I'm just going to run over that now with one of those little discs like I showed you on my battery drill. And that just takes off any little bits of spatter, anything that's there, any little marks. Got some little bit of spatter there, and I think tomorrow then I'll sandblast it. So we're ready for a coat of primer then. The wonderful Corylus S primer, which is fantastic stuff. Probably show you some of that as well if you haven't seen that before. The other thing I need to do is turn up a bung to go into the diff nose where the you've got the diameter where the seal sits, then there's another diameter, and then you've got the bearing diameter. And I had a hell of a job getting my seal out, and what had happened is all the inside of the diff has rusted around where the seal goes, so it's all built up and crusty. So I need to get in there with the sandblaster, but I don't want to go directly sandblasted next to that bearing in case I want to reuse it. So I'm going to turn up a bung that goes in there, it just presses in, and then when I take the diff housing off I can bang it out. And I can also sandblast everything together then. So bung up that hole as well. Although there's no point because the ends are open. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed that. This is a fantastic thing, I think. I think it's brilliant. I shall leak test it after I've sandblasted it, and because that way when it's sandblasted it'll have this matte sort of silver finish and it'll show up much better if there's any leaks. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon for another one. Bye for now.